Jen.
Hi, Em.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Just really living the dream.
Are you?
I think
Is this
so.
the dream? I,
It's no longer 3 degrees out.
oh God, it's
Which
basically
is,
summer.
I mean, listen, 40 degrees
It's
in Philadelphia feels like 80 degrees.
I am like wearing a t-shirt outside. I'm like, I'm just gonna walk around, like get some sunshine. It's 40
You're like,
degrees out.
wow, February is so nice.
It's gorgeous out. Like
Literally feels amazing compared to how it
it
has been,
was
though.
so bad.
Yeah, it was fucking horrible.
It's the farmer's almanac, just like you said. God.
Listen,
You were right. As a farmer, you
the
predicted
the
the
farmer's
future.
almanac to me is people like, wait, like that really funny TikTok? It's like, I need a white girl with a nose ring to tell me which planet's making me feel sad. And then
Yes.
somebody answers and it's like Earth.
Or I did not hear. I did
It's
not say
fucking
that, but
Earth.
that's
I was saying to someone the other
funny.
day though, I was like, I've been really struggling with the podcast recently because we get on and we talk about in-laws, and that's lovely. And I hope very helpful to certain people. And then it's like, Trump is taking away our rights at the same
Right.
time. And so
Hmm.
sometimes it feels a little weird to be talking into a microphone about things like your in-laws when like people are losing their rights every day.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree.
We're just like discrediting people's genders and like any
Yeah,
of their individual identities. But we'll talk more about it. And I have no problem doing this, but I just want to say, if there's ever a day where you're like, holy fuck, the world's on fire, why are these girls talking about this? It was pre-recorded and we're sorry, and you should turn it off.
yes. And we've said that before.
And it
And
gets worse every day.
listen, and it's with all the shit going on, you probably also still need to navigate your fucking relationship dynamics.
Well, that's the funniest thing, right? So there's like people will say like, well, how do you navigate life right now, right? There's like this crisis in the world going on.
Yeah.
Um, and then also, you still got to make money and show up to work and like deal with like
That's right. You still have to function in your own orbit.
my
And
daughter's gym teacher saying, her upper body strength needs work. And I'm like, I do want to take that seriously.
so does mine. Millie told me herself that I was
Remember when Millie
weak.
told you
Oh,
you're weak?
Millie
She
told me
used
I
the
was
word
a
weak.
weak. She said, "You're a weak bitch. Get it together." And I was like, "Millie." Just kidding. She
she
said,
she did say
"You're not
you're
as strong as my mom." I said, "I know." We tried to fight each other in a martial arts class, and she was going to kick my ass.
we did take a Krav Maga self-defense class, and I'm gonna be honest, I could definitely kick your fucking ass.
It's not a question. I mean,
Well,
was
you're
that
so
a
easy. I can
question?
just I could just pick you up and
Was that a question even
I could just walk
before
away.
this? We knew this. You could just fucking. I did. With some of those moves, though, I got you.
I was really proud of us in that class. I really feel like we learned a lot. We
We
held this
did.
great, totally free women's self-defense class. We have to do that again.
Yeah, it was
That
great.
was super fun to do. We did one in Westchester. We should do one in Philly.
The most important thing that I learned in that women's self-defense class, two things. Number
Yes.
one, hit him in the crotch. Number two, number two was flail like a wild
Banshee.
banshee.
Well, they brought up a really good point, which is that, like, you always think, like, oh, well, if somebody is, 6'5" and 300 pounds, you'll never win no matter what. But they
Yeah.
brought up a good point where they said, if you are holding a cat, you are 6'5" and 300 pounds, and someone pours water on that cat, I don't give a fuck how big you are, that cat will get out because they will be so crazy that they will get out and scratch your eyes. And they said, that's what I want, Jack. They said that fighting is not pretty, violence is ugly, and you should be as crazy as possible, including the noises you make,
Yes.
you were doing. And I also really learned go for their ocular fluid because the DNA stains in your nails.
Every
So
time
Evolution Krav Maga in Malvern, Pennsylvania,
they were
female
great.
owned, and they did this fucking great women's self-defense class. So
It
if you
was
ever
so
need to do it,
good.
you should go through it. But get started today. Listener question: do you prefer to sleep in complete silence or with some sort of noise, fan, noise machine, TV, etc.?
Mm, this is gonna be so lame, but like it really depends on, I know. I don't do the same thing every night. Like I don't have a
Really?
T yeah,
You don't have a routine because you don't have a TV in your bedroom,
I don't have a TV in
but
my
you watch
bedroom.
on your phone.
I'll be on my phone. There's some nights that I'm like, I know that I'm going to have, when I know I'm going to have difficulty sleeping because my mind is running, I need a distraction. So I'll put like a show on my iPad or
Okay.
something. If I don't feel that way, if my mind isn't running, then I'm totally fine in silence.
Hmm. So for me, I end up falling asleep with noise either way because I go to bed around 8:30 at night. And so
Does not
it's
matter.
usually dogs awake. My husband's still talking to me. Made a conversation.
Do you get in bed? Like, are you in
Yeah, no,
bed?
I don't like, what do you mean? Like, I don't fall asleep on the floor.
I didn't
I
know if
get
you were
in
like,
bed and then
your husband's
30
talking to
seconds later,
you.
I'm asleep.
Wow.
Yes.
Fascinated by people like you.
But I didn't used to be like that.
Yeah.
That is like, I'm telling you, since becoming a mom, I'm just really tired.
You're just so
And I
exhausted.
think I'm also like, there's so many, my daughter's a really like good sleeper, but there's still tons of nights where I hear, Mom, I can't find my Toggy at like, 2 in the morning. And
Yeah.
so because of this, I think I have this stress response cycle that's like, I'm not going to get a full night's sleep. So I have to go to bed as soon as possible. And I
Wow.
have had that since she was a baby. They're just like, you got to sleep whenever you can. Like I like constantly think I'm like carbo loading on sleep.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's definitely not the right saying. It's probably
I
a
was-
correct saying, but everyone got the concept, okay? Um, I could fall asleep with anything.
Wow.
So there is always some type of noise, but not worse.
That is so fascinating. I mean, my brother-in-law can fall asleep in 2 seconds. It's just like
Yeah,
time to go to bed and falls asleep. Like,
that's
what's
me.
it like to have zero anxiety?
But I think part of my anxiety is I make myself.
Yeah. No,
I don't think it's that I have
yours
zero
is co
anxiety.
yours
I
is
think
coming
mine's
from
like
a
so
different
anxious.
place. Yeah. Your whole body shuts down.
Yes, that's what I
Is that
think.
how you fall asleep?
I
Just
think
like
it's a
that?
stress. I think it's a stress response
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to just totally fucking pass out.
Yours is not coming from no anxiety.
No, no,
No
no, no.
chance.
Mine is like I'm so anxious I must sleep right now or else I'll never
Yeah.
recover.
I love that. Your body shuts down.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
into
Are
that.
you ready? So today we're going to talk about balancing you and your family partner's family dynamics and your relationship at the same time. So how do I balance in-laws, extended family, and my own relationship?
Every single time we do an in-laws episode, people are amped. There are a lot of in-law dynamics that need to be navigated. I think we get the most questions when we
Absolutely. Every
do
time.
in-law episodes.
It's a really complex relationship, right?
Mhm.
Because one, it's a newer relationship. It's one that you don't really know the rules of. It's one that everyone has such different expectations and ideas of.
Yes.
And with your parents, you're like, oh, I've known these people for forever. Crazy as fuck, doesn't matter. Um, and with in-laws, it's so different because things often feel so much more elevated with them.
Yeah. And you don't get the opportunity, like with your partner, right? You live in with your partner, you guys fight it out, you figure out your relationship, you
Yeah.
reconnect, you go through a lot with your partner to like build on the relationship and like work things out and be hopefully be able to express yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you don't have that space with your in-laws. Like there isn't the space to create this dynamic of like, we need to talk this out. If we fight it out, like, will it be okay? Can we repair it? Right. So like, rupture and repair is not as accessible in your relationship with your in-laws. Um, and I think rupture and repair is the thing that like really creates a safe dynamic in your relationships because okay, if I'm uncomfortable with something or if I need to set a boundary and they're not okay with it or they react in some way, we can work through it and then we can repair it. And it creates a level of safety and connection to be able to do that over and over and over again, whether it's with your partner, with your friends. Listen, we can have different ideas, we can disagree on things, and it will be okay. We'll work through it.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's not as accessible with your in-laws.
Yeah.
And it's a relationship that maybe doesn't feel as safe to be able to do that. And it's a relationship that can bring up a lot of uncomfortable feelings. You can have, as you said, different expectations, um, a lot of push and pull. And so I think that there's a piece of it there too of like the relationship itself doesn't always feel as safe to be able to like have some of these more difficult conversations or have disagreements or set boundaries or so I think that's part of the reason why we get so many questions
Yeah,
about
so
it.
too. So, question number 1. Is it best to follow my partner's lead? He doesn't talk to his mom much, but I don't want to be a bad daughter-in-law. What makes you a bad daughter-in-law?
That was my first thought too.
What in your mind though, right? That's what we mean about like what are the rules and expectations and what's spoken versus unspoken. Do you have an idea about what it's supposed to look like, right? Like in your family, if you don't talk to your parents on the phone multiple times a week, are you a quote unquote bad daughter? So you think this the same way. Every family has different rules and ideas and expectations. So this idea, well, what makes you good or bad, I think you're going to have to really define what that means. And also, do you want to have a relationship with this person or do you just care about how it looks?
Right.
Sometimes people have boundaries with their parents because that's the healthiest possible option for them. And there is nothing wrong with that. And I think you also have to ask your partner what matters to them, because if they need to if they want to have strong boundaries with their parents, and then all of a sudden you start getting this really close relationship, that might not be the most respectful thing to your partner.
Mm-hmm. And it's possible that his mom or your partner's mom doesn't necessarily want to talk all the time, right? I think there's this idea about mother-in-laws that like they want to talk all the time, they want this connection, they want this, and that actually might just not be the case. And it's not necessarily about you. It might just be about your partner's mom. Like maybe that's just their communication style.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
it's like this idea of like it's very mainstream idea of like the caricature of what a mother-in-law is, which is like
Yes.
overbearing and over involved. And some people are like, oh my God, I wish I heard from my mother-in-law more, right? Like my mother-in-law like doesn't really talk to us. And so we think we once again have this expectation and stories about what these roles are.
Yeah. Yeah, like my mother-in-law I don't talk to at all except for when I see her, and every time I see her it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Like
We're
I'm
not
close
chatting
with
on the phone.
No, we're not chatting on the phone because also I don't think she likes to chat on the phone. I don't like to chat on the phone.
No, I don't think my mother-in-law has called me literally once ever.
Yeah, mine
I don't
will
know what
call
I
me
would
if like
say, honestly.
right, same. And so, but do you feel like a bad daughter-in-law?
No.
Same.
In my head, I was like, should I?
I know.
As soon as you said it, I was like, oh, wait, am I supposed to be? I don't think so. I don't know if she feels that way, but also even if she did feel that way, that would be up to her to talk to me about and express her feelings around. It would not be up to me to assume.
To figure it out. Right. And to just say this, she must be feeling this way.
Yeah. Totally.
Very possible she doesn't feel that way.
Yeah.
Very possible she's completely okay with the relationship that you have.
Like maybe if I call her, she's like, fuck, why is she calling?
Exactly. Like I really think my mother-in-law, she's the sweetest woman in the world, but like I don't think she wants to talk on the phone.
Yeah, maybe she's busy, bitch.
Yeah.
She's not interested in you.
Right. She just like
or you could call my mom at any time and she's playing mahjong. My mother is playing mahjong.
Like, does she? Right? Does your mom want to talk to you on the phone?
No, she's playing mahjong.
Good for her.
Like half the time I call her, she doesn't answer. She texts me. She's like, "I'm at mahjong." I'm like, "I bet you are, baby. Getting good at those." I don't know, but I want to learn. It's like it's the tile game. It's like a Chinese tile game.
That's what I was picturing.
Remember Crazy Rich Asians at the end? There's like a pivotal scene. That's mahjong.
Yes.
Yeah, my mom's amazing at it.
Well,
I'm not kidding. She like plays multiple times a week.
I feel like we need to pick up a game like mahjong. It's like a rite of passage as you get older. Like my grandmother
for
plays
old Jewish women.
Yeah, my grandmother plays mahjong and she plays bridge.
No, yeah, it's like you like, especially for old Jewish women, you like move down to Boca and you play mahjong.
What? Yeah, like when's the time? What's the age?
I'm a big Mancala fan. I can't lie though. I'm playing Tetris a lot. So
and Mancala, is that what the?
You want to play Mancala next week? Should we meet up and play Mancala? Oh my God, should we bring Mancala to a coffee shop? And play Mancala
together? People play Mancala?
No.
They don't, right? Should we start a club? A Mancala club? You and me? You and me? Is it just those with those little like stones?
Yes. The little marbles.
I can't remember what is it you collect all the marbles? Like
you're remember. Like you get 4 and you go 1, 2, 3 and you like put in home base. Then you like gotta go around.
But then I see. Because you want all of the stones. You want as many in your little pile.
Yes. That's you're like a penguin with pebbles. Okay. Do you agree? Do you agree with the idea that blood deals with blood? For example, my mother-in-law crossed our parenting boundaries. So by this logic, my husband should address it with her as opposed to me. I don't believe in that entirely. I don't believe that as like a set in stone thing. For lots of folks, that works better because there's a different relationship. That being said, like for me, I don't like the way that my husband does it. So I say something. That's control. Um, and my husband doesn't care about that, right? Like
Right.
I'm like a much more assertive person than he is. He's so much more passive. And so for me, some of the passive communication that his family uses um, doesn't always lead to direct communication and results. So because of that, and because of my communication style, I'm often the one that does it. There are times where I have said, you have to be the one to say this, like because of A, B, and C topic, I do not feel comfortable doing this.
Yeah.
Um, so I think it's about what's in, for me, I'm a results girly. I think results matter more than what's the appropriate way to do this. But if someone has like a really close relationship with their parents and you don't, I could see wanting to do blood deals with blood.
I also think something you said is really important. Like in your relationship, you speak up because it's important to you and you're assertive, and Aaron's fine with that. You know what I mean? Like it works in your
It's preferred.
relationship.
He's like, I'd
It's
love to never
preferred.
say
Yeah.
anything again.
Yeah. So like so that is something that you guys have figured out in your
Yeah.
relationship what works for you. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what I think is really important is that like there is no finite rule of like this is what you should be doing and you're supposed to be doing. It's go ahead.
Well, to say like for me in my marriage, I was
Mhm.
starting to get resentful towards him because he wasn't doing anything.
Right.
And then after all his communications, I was like, oh, he's just like, he can't for whatever reason.
Right.
It's his style, he's nervous, whatever it is. Um, and so it was better for our marriage for me to just kind of take over some of that. And that's fine. And then I cannot be resentful. I can just own it.
So if you were to hold on to blood deals with blood, like that would have led to and has led to feeling
Yes,
resentful.
exactly.
So like the flexibility in you being able in your own relationship to be able to say like, well, what works best for us? Let's figure out, does it look like we address it together? Does it look like they deal with themselves? Or do I speak up? Are there certain topics that, maybe I handle? Are there certain topics that my partner handles? Like talking about that in your relationship so that you can figure that out. And it's not just, this is the hard and fast rule. Why aren't we following it?
Yeah.
That's what I think is most important.
I mean, like in my marriage, my husband was so passive in his communication for years and years and years. He would use me as a scapegoat either way. So he would be like, he'd be like, oh, well, let me talk to Emily about this. And then come back and say no and make it my fault.
Oh no.
Then I was like, well, then I'd rather just be my fault. I'd rather
Right.
just be the one to say it then.
Right.
Because then I was
Right.
mad at him and I was like, you keep making me look like the bad guy, which was a big trigger for me and
Yeah.
super activating for me. And then I was just like, whatever, I'll be the bad guy. That's how people see me. It doesn't matter that much to me anymore. But at the beginning, it did. I wanted them to like me so badly.
Yeah.
And I so much wanted my in laws' approval um, that I hated the idea of him, like, of me being perceived and
Yeah.
existing.
Which I can imagine kept you from expressing yourself.
Exactly.
Right. That makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what we got? What's next?
What's the best way to address feeling like my partner prioritizes their family needs over our own relationship?
mm,
The best way to address it is through communication with your partner. Hey, this is what's happening. This is how it makes me feel. Whether that's accurate or not, whether I'm reading into it or not, doesn't matter. I'm feeling these ways. Here's what's happening for me. Meeting your partner with curiosity that they don't mean or intend to hurt you in this way. People are often getting together with someone. We're all just trying to navigate new territory, right?
yeah. And I think sometimes also understanding like the why behind why why your partner might be prioritizing their family's needs, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
is it that your partner feels guilty? Is it that, you know, they, there's some sort of expectations that they always, put on your partner. Understanding the why behind why your partner is prioritizing your family. It doesn't change it, but it might open the conversation
Yeah.
in a lot of ways for you to kind of understand their perspective and at the same time express how it's feeling for you so that the two of you can navigate that together.
Yeah.
And sometimes when we're feeling really hurt about something, we just get angry at our partner. and just assume that they're, you're putting them first because you care more about them than you care about me, right? That's a
Hmm.
lot of what comes up of I don't feel cared about, you care about them, that's what's going on, as opposed to let me understand this, like what's going on here that my partner is jumping to prioritizing their needs and how can I communicate what's happening for me? Once again, it's the two of us against the problem. It's not us against each other.
Yeah. My significant other's family gets together frequently, and sometimes I just don't want to go. How do I say no? My significant other won't go unless I do, but I don't want him to resent me.
Mm,
You don't get to choose how someone feels about your decisions. You can say to your partner, hey, I feel like I've been going to this too much. I'm going to sit out of the cookout today. Please feel free to go without me. It might be that your partner also doesn't want to go. Express your concern. I'm really worried about how this is going to make you feel about me. What's it going to be for our relationship? You are allowed to say no to hanging out. And you also don't have to give a reason. Hey, I'm not going to be able to swing it today. See you guys next time.
and your partner's when you're if your partner's making the decision to not go because you're not going, it isn't your responsibility to protect them from resentment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like if that is a choice they are making, and there's a level of codependency that comes with like I'm staying home because you're staying home, right? And that's going to breed, you know, difficulty in the relationship because they need to be able to make a decision for themselves to be able to say like I'm going to stay home because I also want to stay home,
Yeah.
not because you're staying home, or I'm going to go because I want to go, you're welcome to stay home.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to also break that level of codependency in your relationship to be more interdependent, where the two of you can make choices about what works for you in your relationship and in your lives, and you can support each other, right? For you to say, I need to stay home, I need some time for myself, like go enjoy yourself, and for your partner to support that, to say like, okay, no problem, like I'm gonna go hang out, for you to be able to, you know, step out of the relationship and come back in, step out of the relationship, come back in, and have your lives and then have your lives together is really important, that level of interdependence.
Yeah.
What do I do if my partner doesn't see an issue with their family's behavior, but it's affecting me? I love this question because it's
I
also,
hate this question
I know. Well, I'll tell you, well,
because it's a toughie.
and the reason why I love it is because it's so common.
Yeah.
Um, there's a term called family blind, which means having unwavering loyalty to one's family, often to the point of overlooking negative behaviors or flaws within
Mm-hmm.
the family unit, especially being blind to any issues that might damage the family dynamic, even if they are serious or harmful. And it implies a refusal to critically evaluate family actions due to a strong desire to maintain harmony and loyalty.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I think something that so often happens is that when we get in a relationship, when we get married, we bring someone else into that family dynamic and they see so much shit that we don't see. So much.
You're blind, but they can see, baby.
They can see it and they're like, what the fuck is going on? you know? Um, and so I think also being, being able to drop kind of your own defenses to say like, yeah, there is some stuff in my family that maybe I, didn't see, and maybe that has led to where I am now. And I think another reason why that can be so hard in your relationship is because sometimes you see stuff in the family dynamic that directly affects your relationship, which can be really triggering, right? And where you're pointing it out to say, like, look at this, this is happening, and this is how it affects the relationship. And because they're blind to the dynamic within their family, then they might be blind to the dynamic within your relationship. The family blindness then continues into your romantic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And so for them to be able to acknowledge your emotions and what's going on for you would also mean that they have to acknowledge the unhealthy patterns in their family dynamic.
I think it also matters how you bring it up. So if you say, if you notice your mom's batshit insane, is very different than saying, hey, sometimes when we're with your family and they're commenting about other people's bodies, it makes me really uncomfortable. Right. Or I notice it brings my own stuff up. So, like, also, like, how are you coming towards your partner with how you talk about their family? If you understand that your partner has a lot of this family blindness and loyalty, I think you should be aware and be really considerate and use tact with your honesty.
Yeah. And I love that because if it is based in this kind of family loyalty, you bringing something up in a harsh, critical way is going to push them closer to the family. I need to protect the family, right? The
Mm-hmm.
loyalty is like, I need to protect them. You know, what you're saying about them isn't true. What you're, so to bring it up in a way of like, I understand you might not see this, and like, this is something that I experience when I'm with your family. Um, and that's really hard for me. Like, can we talk about that? Right? Like, there's just as you're saying, and there's so many ways to bring it up um, that can create, more of a conversation within your relational dynamic.
My mother in law is overly involved in our life decisions. Help. Someone can only be overly involved if you let them be involved. Sorry. So,
Sorry.
if you want someone to be less involved, you're going to have to give them less information, right? Like, people don't have to know everything. You are allowed to have privacy without secrecy. So, it might be that you don't tell them about 100% of your vacation plans. You don't tell them about 100% of the things that you're doing, right? Like, if you notice that someone has bad boundaries and struggles with being overly involved, you have to create the boundaries for yourself, which is also like the communication around it.
I'm rewatching White Lotus,
Oh, which season?
the first season.
Great decision. I should rewatch. Is the new season coming out? Is that why you're
Yeah,
doing
it's
that?
coming out. Yeah.
When's it coming?
I don't know, but it's coming out soon.
Okay,
You
I
should
should
rewatch
also
it.
do
It's
this.
so
Yes,
good. It's also so good too. I don't know if like the
February
first.
16th. Nikki said, "Thank you very much."
Thank you,
February
Nikki.
16th. Wait, oh, it'll have already come out when this episode airs. Amazing. You're talking
Yes.
about. So you're talking about like when the mom shows up on the honeymoon.
Yes. Yes. It's literally the first thing
Wait, is
I
it
thought
Molly
about.
Shannon? Who is it?
It's Molly Shannon. And she shows up on the honeymoon, and the whole time, right? Like the son is calling the mom to be like, can you fix this thing with the hotel?
Yes.
The whole time, overly involved, right? And then she shows up on the honeymoon. It is so funny. We honestly, we're never going to do this because we don't have time, but I would just love to take episodes and do like a therapeutic
Which
analysis of
season is
what's
your
going on.
favorite?
When I rewatch them, I'll let you know. I think the first season's my
I don't
favorite.
know. Jennifer Coolidge. These gays are trying to kill me. That's the
It's
funniest fucking
also
thing I've ever.
so good. I mean, the whole thing's so good. But sometimes when I rewatch shows, because, I'm like on two screens at the same time, like a fucking asshole.
No, it's bad for your
Um,
brain, bro.
I know. I'm aware,
Okay, all
sometimes you
right.
do things that aren't good for you. A
I really want you to watch Dexter.
lot of blood.
It's so fucked up. You would love it. You sick son of a bitch. Are you kidding me?
I know. I'll think
You
about
would
it.
love it. There's some
Listen,
crazy family dynamics you would be very interested in. Some
it's
fucked up shit.
it's a way better suggestion than Jennifer Love Hewitt Ghost Hunter.
It was Ghost
So
Whisperer.
that makes it even worse.
It does, doesn't it?
That makes it so much worse. She's fucking whispering to the ghosts. What's she doing?
All right. She's just I don't know if she's whispering. She's just talking. She talks when she sees him. Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
We don't have a lot of time, so I want to get
Oh,
to some
sorry.
other
Oh,
ones.
sorry.
How to deal with your significant other's family having conflicting political opinions from you? Don't talk about it.
Yep.
If you cannot talk about it in a healthy way that's going to affect everyone, I wouldn't talk about it. If you can talk about it in a healthy way, which some families can, then I think you go with your so you first of all, you and your significant other be on the same page, but how are we going to handle this?
Yeah.
Right. I know I have different opinions than my in-laws. My partner and I are just we don't talk about it. It doesn't work for us. It hurts the relationship. That's it. That's how it is for us. Do I wish that we could talk about it? Absolutely. We
Right.
cannot. We have tried. So I won't keep doing it, especially because we have children that are involved that are in the house and I'm not going to fight in front of them.
Yeah. And I think approaching those boundaries with being able to say, listen, I respect your views, but I want to avoid if someone tries to like bait you into a political
Yeah.
discussion.
I don't say I respect your views.
Yeah, right.
I don't respect your
Just
fucking
trying to
views.
create,
Yeah.
right?
If someone is racist
You
or
don't,
fucked
you
up,
don't, right. I mean,
yeah.
fair.
But what I do say is, it's really clear that we cannot have a productive conversation. I do not think it's going to be beneficial for any of us to talk about this. I am not going to talk. So if politics gets brought up, I physically walk out of the room
Right.
because it's really silly for us to talk about it because there's no point.
Physical boundaries.
Yeah. If
Right.
I
It's
try to
more,
sit there and I'm white knuckling it, then eventually my loud ass is going to be like, and sound like a freaking foghorn. So that doesn't work.
um, right. And right, because the political discussions, right, it's only going to be them trying to change your mind, right? Pushing their opinion. And
Yeah. It's
so
like, who can
it's
jerk
more,
off more? It's so
right.
stupid.
It's more about like protecting your peace. That's the most important thing when you guys are together.
I mean, there's some people in my life I can have productive conversations about, but that's not everyone. And so if you
I think
know, it doesn't matter then. What am I going to try to convince you to change when you don't see it my way at all?
I think that's what's important, right? To decipher between like who you can have productive, respectful conversations
Yes.
with and who that is absolutely not going to happen with,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And I'm sure by this point you have probably figured that out. My
After
assumption.
all, since
After all of
2016,
this
have you guys
shit,
figured it
yeah.
out yet?
Oh
Right?
God.
Here we are.
Here we are.
Dear Emma Jen.
Dear Emma Jen, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
Dear Em and Jen, I struggle with my husband setting boundaries with his mother in regards to our relationship. I should have known this would be an issue when we were wedding planning 2.5 years ago. She had to be involved in every decision, and when I would ask him what he wanted to do about a certain aspect of the wedding, it was always, whatever you and my mom want, when I really wanted to know what he wanted. Fast forward to about a year ago when he and I started talking about moving to a town about an hour away, which would benefit both of our careers. Mother in law quickly inserted herself into the conversation with sending articles upon articles about different towns than we had already decided on and sending overwhelming amounts of information on the housing market when we had only just begun talking about moving. Now, my husband and I are in a place of serious friction regarding equal partnership, and my mother in law has once again inserted herself into our relationship. She was a stay at home mom and housewife, but I have no interest in that life for myself. I want to have a successful career, and my husband supports that. But all of my mother in law's advice is for me to change my lifestyle to accommodate my husband's career. Bottom line, how do we kindly and respectfully tell her to back off and respect our lifestyle choices for our marriage, which is vastly different from the lifestyle that we worked for, that worked for her and my father in law? My husband hesitates standing up to his mother out of respect, loyalty, and the religious hierarchy of the family.
I don't know. In this situation, I think blood does talk to blood.
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
You have to go to couples therapist. I mean, I think this is a pretty significant, right? Like, this has clearly created a big rupture in the relationship.
yeah.
And you and your partner, it sounds like when you work together and when you talk together are on the same page. And then when it comes to putting it into action, implementing something, it becomes very difficult. Probably because mother-in-law is pretty opinionated and pretty strong personality, and because of all the stuff, right? Respect, loyalty, religious hierarchy of the family. So I would say, I think you guys are great candidates for couples therapy, finding a couples therapist that can help you navigate these difficult conversations, because I would imagine setting boundaries would be pretty difficult. I also would be weary of giving too much information to mother-in-law until you've decided, right? We don't say, here's what we're thinking of. We say, hey, we are going to be. Because a lot of times we actually don't need other people's opinions.
Yeah.
We need to make decisions for ourselves.
I also think getting on the same page with your partner about
Yeah.
what is being shared with mother-in-law is going to be really important, right?
Yes.
Like, and so for the two of you to come together and say, okay, we're making this big decision. Let's just anticipate that your mom is going to try to jump in and she is going to give her opinion and
We'll
she's
just
going
make
to
a
try.
guess.
We'll just
Maybe
educate
she'll have an opinion about
possibly,
this.
so I think that anticipating that might be really important to say, okay, how much of this do we want to share? And when she inevitably jumps in to try to give her opinion, how do we want to handle this together? Something I didn't hear in this is, how are you feeling about your partner not kind of stepping in and talking to your mother-in-law about this? Um, the stuff at the wedding of, he said, whatever you and my mom want, and you wanting his opinion and not hers. How much are you bringing that up to him? How much are you talking to him about that? It sounds like the two of you really need to get on the same page, not just your life decisions. It sounds like you are on the same page with your life decisions, but getting on the same page of like, how are we going to set these boundaries with your mom? Because she very clearly pushes boundaries and pushes her opinion. And so I would, just go about this by anticipating that she's going to do this.
Yeah.
And how do we want to handle this together? What is it that we, have done or haven't done in the past that has not worked for us? Right? Did we try to ignore it? Did we try to, not talk to her about it? Like, what didn't work? And like, what do we need to do in the future when we are making big decisions, um, in order to set the boundaries for our relationship and make a decision and move forward with something that works for us while setting the boundary with her?
Because I would imagine what you don't want to happen is you avoid, and placate, and then you have a massive cutoff and rupture, and then
Yes.
no one's talking to each other, right? So the reason we implement smaller boundaries sooner is to avoid a massive rupture and cutoff. We're family and couples therapists. We don't want cutoff. We want people to navigate relationships and figure out what works for you. But I can promise you that continuously placating people never ends well.
Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Shrink Chicks.
We'll see you back here next week for another session.
In the meantime, if you want a question answered or a topic discussed, follow us on Instagram at ShrinkChicks. And if you're looking to get connected with a therapist like us to start or continue your therapeutic journey, visit thetherapygroup.com. Just fill out a contact form on our website, and we will personally match you with one of our amazing therapists. And for all of our therapists and group practice owners out there, we also offer group practice consulting.
And if you're looking to support yourself further and support our show, check out our amazing merch options at shrinkchicks.com/merch and our Know Yourself, Grow Yourself journal on Amazon. Also, if you'd be so kind, we'd love a rating, review, and for you to share with a friend or an enemy or a mother-in-law, honestly, whoever needs it, so that we can keep reaching more people on our mission to bring mental health topics to your ears every week.
Thanks for being here with us. And don't forget, to grow yourself, you got to know yourself.